Good evening, children. Today's video is on the fascinating facts about photosynthesis of non-green plants. Children, as we know, plants are living creatures that are stationary, unlike animals and humans. It is easy to think that plants are boring. They don't hunt, move, communicate, or fascinate us like other living creatures. But plants are silently performing a complicated process that fuels the whole planet. The complicated process is called as photosynthesis, which we saw in the previous lecture. A primary difference between plants and animals is the plant's ability to manufacture its food. Photosynthesis is a process where carbon dioxide from air and water from the soil react with sun's energy to form glucose or store starch, which we call it as carbohydrates and proteins, and releases oxygen as a byproduct along with water vapor, which we saw in the previous video. Every green leaf in the world is utilizing the most of the solar energy along with water and carbon dioxide to produce food. The carbohydrates manufactured in this process forms the foundation of food chain. Plants and some photosynthetic bacteria and algae are the only producers of food. All other living organisms are consumers, feeding directly or indirectly on food produced in the photosynthesis. This process is also the primary source of oxygen that most living creatures need to breathe. Plant leaves have three primary classes of pigment. In those classes, chlorophyll is one of them. Most of the green plant are green. This green color is due to the presence of a pigment called chlorophyll. Some ornamental plants have leaves that aren't green. Rather, they have purple, red, yellow, or variegated leaves. It makes us think that how do these plants survive without the production of food? Let's talk about the fact of these plants. Firstly, let's talk about the plant with the purple or or red leaves. These leaves do have chlorophyll but in a lesser amount. The green color is masked by the other pigments of the leaf. Hence, the leaves are purple or red. The process of photosynthesis is being carried out underneath the leaves. Secondly, some plants have white leaves as visible to our naked eyes. It is because of the reflection of light from leaves at particular angle which makes them appear white. This trick of reflection hides all the chlorophyll enabling the photosynthesis. The third fact is that some colored leaves do not have chlorophyll and are dependent on other green parts of the plant, which are performing photosynthesis. Lastly, plants called parasitic plants are with colored leaves. They do not have chlorophyll. They take up the carbohydrates from other parts of the plant and do not perform photosynthesis. These plants rely on other plants for carbohydrates and water through roots. So, it can be concluded that almost all plants have chlorophyll, either masked or visible, that is needed for photosynthesis. except parasitic plants, which we are going to study further in this chapter. Children, now let us discuss one activity which you must have performed in 6th standard, that is presence of starch in leaf. Today we are going to demonstrate that light is necessary for photosynthesis. For that we require petri dish, boiling tube, alcohol that is 70%, iodine solution, Bunsen burner, forceps, beaker, water in a beaker, dropper, black paper, and a potted plant. Now, let's talk about the procedure. You have to take a healthy potted plant and place it in a dark for about 72 hours so that leaves becomes free from starch. After 72 hours, select a leaf on the plant and cover a portion of it on both sides with black paper. Keep the potted plant with the covered leaf in sunlight for few hours. Detach the covered leaf from the plant and remove the black paper. Boil the leaf in water for few minutes. Now boil the leaf in alcohol in a water bath till it becomes dull white due to the removal of chlorophyll. Now wash the leaf with water and add iodine solution. Now let us observe. The portion of leaf which was covered does not change color, whereas the portion which was uncovered turns blue-black. Inference and conclusion. The portion of leaf which was not covered received all the factors necessary for photosynthesis. Therefore, that part could only photosynthesize, whereas the one which was covered could not manufacture food. The presence of starch gave the positive test with iodine, that is, turned to blue-black color. Therefore, we can define photosynthesis, that is, photosynthesis is the process of manufacturing of food by the green parts of the plant, especially the leaves, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll with the help of carbon dioxide and water. Children, now we are going to study about synthesis of plant foods other than simple carbohydrate, that is glucose. The simplest food synthesized by the plants by photosynthesis is simple carbohydrate called glucose. The glucose carbohydrate is made up of three elements: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. The plants uses the simple carbohydrate glucose to make many other foods such as starch, oils that is also called as fats, proteins and vitamins. We will discuss these one by one. Let's start with starch. Plant make starch as food. Some of the simple carbohydrates like glucose made by plants through photosynthesis is converted naturally into complex carbohydrates called as starch. The starch is the food which is stored in the various parts of the plant such as root, stem, leaves and seeds. Let's say the seeds or grains of wheat and rice have a lot of starch in them. Potato carrot plants store lot of starch in their roots. Now next one is plant makes oil, or it is also known as fats, as food. There are certain plants convert the simple carbohydrate, glucose, made during the photosynthesis into oils and store them into their seeds. Such seeds are called as oil seeds and give us oil or fats for cooking food. For example, the seeds of sunflower plant contain lot of oil stored in them. As you can see on the slide, I have kept one picture of it also. We can extract oil from the sunflower seed and use it as a food. The oils obtained from the plant seeds are commonly known as vegetable oils. Please note that just like carbohydrate, glucose, and starch, oils and fats are also made up of same three elements, that is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. You can see here I have put groundnut seed also and olive seeds, which is good for health. Now the next one is proteins. Plant makes protein as food. In addition to carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, proteins also contain nitrogen element. Plants combine with some of the glucose carbohydrate made during the photosynthesis with nitrate materials, which is obtained from the soil to make amino acids, which are really essential, which are then made into proteins. In this way, plant makes proteins. These proteins are the nitrogenous substance which contains nitrogen element. Now we will discuss how plant obtain these. This happens as follows. Nitrogen element is present in abundance in air in the form of nitrogen gas. However, the plants cannot absorb nitrogen gas for their needs like making protein. Now, the soil has certain bacteria which convert nitrogen gas of air into its compound, that is nitrogenous compound known as nitrates, and release them into soil. These nitrates are the water soluble nitrogen compounds which are absorbed by plants from the soil along with water. In this way, the plants fulfill their requirement of nitrogen. The plant also obtain nitrogen from nitrogenous fertilizer like NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which farmers add to the soil in the field from time to time. The last one is vitamins. Plant makes vitamins as food. Vitamins are highly complex substances which are important part of food. Vitamins are made by plants. Vitamins are contained in vegetables. As you can see, I have put vegetables, fruits. It should be all fruit, seasonal fruits, and cereals made by plants. Animals usually cannot make vitamins. So these were the things which are made by plant or other nutrients which is made by plant for themselves. Children, I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you.